Hello and welcome to the good old English countryside, and today I have a bike with the word rally written on it. So let's roll the intro and get cracking. So first off, who are Voge? Well, they are part of the Longxing Group, a huge Chinese motorcycle manufacturer that's been around since 1983. I have heard that this engine may be based on the CRF300 from Kawasaki, but I've also heard that Longxing Group build this engine for BMW, so who knows, or built by BMW, so who knows the actual origin of that engine, other than it does sound good and it does pull quite well. But let's tell you a bit more about the specs. It is a 4-valve liquid-cooled 292cc engine which develops 28 brake horsepower and 18.5 pounds-foot of torque. It also comes with a 6-speed box. It's pretty much a no-frills bike, but it does ride really nicely. You can change gear up and down without using the clutch, just roll off the throttle, and it's a very simple gear change, but we'll talk more about that when we're out on the road and off the road. Suspension is by way of non-adjustable 41mm upside down forks on the front and a monoshock on the rear. Okay, so the bottom end of the bike. Up front you've got a 21-inch wheel with a 3x21 Timsung knobbly tyre, a 3-inch translates to about a 90 if you're that way inclined. On the back you've got an 18-inch wheel, a 5.1 by 18 tyre, translates to about a 125, 130, something like that. Nice chunky rubber, but they do stick rather well on and off-road. And again, I'll talk more about that when we're out on the road. You do get the crash bars as standard, and I like that idea. Nice sturdy crash bars. You do get the hand guards as standard, and you do get this nice front visor. They work really well. I got no wind on my hands whatsoever on these. They are nice, sturdy. They're not sort of flimsy plastic. They do feel quite nice indeed. Great visibility out of the mirrors, and I'll tell you more about that when I'm out on the road also. Design wise, I think it's really nice. I love the design of it. The seat is really comfortable, and I like the fact that you get a rack already, which is quite a handy feature. Again, mild steel exhaust, but whatever. As usual, I am 5'10.5" with a 31.5-inch inside leg, and this is me getting on that 920mm seat height. Actually not bad. It does sink quite nicely. The suspension is quite bouncy. 11-litre fuel tank sloshing around in there, E5 fuel only, which I will only ever put in any bike ever, or car anyway. But that's a different story. I am almost flat-footed. Because it's quite a thin bike, it's not really digging in me, but I'm probably on the balls of my feet comfortably. And when I'm like that, I can put my left foot down flat with a tiny bend in my knee. So if I'm stopping at traffic lights, absolutely fine. And the fact that it sinks quite nicely on suspension really does help. So I would say anyone 5'10" and above, ideal. Anything slightly less than that, you're probably going to struggle. Unless, of course, you don't mind doing that whilst you're sitting at the traffic lights. It doesn't take much to hold the weight up because it's only 158 kilos wet, and it certainly feels like it when you're out on the road. It does not feel like a heavy bike at all. It's not cumbersome, and it's really simple to maneuver. Even at this tall height, it doesn't feel that bad to tip over at all. If you're on the road, I will say you get a tiny little bit of knobble from those knobbly tyres. If you are not green laning it at all, then just stick some better road tyres on it. Simple, really. If you are green laning it, these will do the job and on off-road. Just be mindful that because they're quite knobbly, you're not going to get as much grip on the road as you would with a street tyre, but you know that. Other than that, it's 2.1 meters long, 877 millimeters wide and 1.4 meters tall, so it is quite a large bike, especially for a 300, but that does give you a nicer feel, I think, when you're riding it. You've got a much greater presence. Now, the brakes are not huge. You've got a 265 millimeter disc on the front with a double piston caliper, a single piston caliper on the rear with a 220 millimeter disc. They do stop fine. They're not brilliant as in, but to be honest, when you brake, because of the suspension, if you had a harsher brake, that suspension would really dive down and could cause you some issues with throwing you off the bike. So it does hunker you quite well. You just have to be a little bit mindful that they're not going to stop you as well as something with bigger discs. It's not an issue, don't get me wrong. You know, I didn't have any problem braking whatsoever. I just certainly could feel that if I had a bigger disc, it would have caused problems because of the dive of the suspension, and I would have stopped a lot quicker. But that didn't faze me one little bit, to be honest. I think they've done it quite well. Smaller discs tend to work with something with this style of suspension and this style of bike, because you're not going to be doing 80, 90 miles an hour. You're going to be doing 55, 60 on the roads, country roads, and then you're going to be doing some green laning where the brakes will be absolutely fine for what you need. Regarding this back brake though, I do want to add that it does have switchable ABS, which is a great feature. I like that idea. And for those of you that want to know, apparently around 88 miles to the gallon. So let's say 75 to 80 in the real world. That's not bad at all. That's pretty good going. The dash is pretty standard. You don't really need a huge amount. Obviously you've got your rev counter, your mile clocker, your gear indicator, well, actually a neutral indicator, should I say, and your speedo. You don't get a fuel gauge, but you do get a fuel light, and you don't get a temperature gauge, which I would have expected, to be honest. But there you go. Again, pretty much no frills. You've got your mode and reset button here, but you do get a USB on that side, look. Now, where this USB would not be waterproof, it is kind of protected with this screen. So you could argue it's sort of waterproof, but once you get water in there, it's not going to like it. I do like, though, these nice chunky foot pegs. They've got a great amount of foot, can rest on there quite easily. It doesn't feel as though it's a thin bit digging in the bottom of your shoe. It's a nice wide chunky foot peg, and that works really well for me. So let's start it up, have a quick listen, and then we'll take it out on and off road and see what it really rides like. Sounds okay. Sounds quite raspy, got a nice feel to it. Ooh, I like that. Oh yeah, it gives it a nice raspy, deep, rumbly feel. That's sort of a 500cc sound, I would say, rather than a 300. That sounds really nice, I like that. Oh yeah. Oh, nice little farts and popples as well. Oh yeah, right, well, let's get going or something. Right, here we go with the road test element. I'm not expecting huge amounts because of the brake horsepower It's not the most powerful bike in the world, but it is only a 300. However, initial pull away, it's not that bad actually. It's got a nice little sound from the exhaust there, quite a nice rasp. Picks up decently enough. You do feel very tall on this bike. I do feel quite high, but it's not an inconvenience. Gear change, oh, nice little farts and popples from the exhaust there. What on earth are you doing, mate? Oh, I'll go this way then. Yeah, that's quite a nice turn. Is it really starting to rain? Surely not. Picks up decently enough. I like the sound it makes. It's got a good feel, nice soft suspension here. I'm taking it through the streets just to get a feel of what it's like going around normal urban corners. And then we'll go out into the countryside and see what it's like there as well. Takes the corners decently enough. The tyres feel okay. It's got the feel of a much bigger bike than the 300, because you do feel quite tall. I quite like the width of the handlebars. They're a decent width apart. Not narrow at all, not too wide. They feel just right, to be honest. I love these hand guards. I'm getting no wind. Even though I'm wearing decent gloves anyway, I'm getting no wind on there whatsoever. Brakes pull up decently enough. It has got this switchable ABS, so you can turn that off if you want to. Not that we need to at the moment. Yeah, easy. I knew they were going to start edging forward. Easy to use indicators. Nice turn in, dips into corners nicely. Oh, well, I go traffic lights there. It does nip in quite easily. Got good balance. Very light to manoeuvre. Sitting here at these lights, I am on the balls of my feet, on the ball of my feet, but it's not horrendous. It's very light. It's just very easy to hold up. Pulls away decently enough, up to 30 miles an hour. I've got decent visibility out of the mirrors, a good amount of stalk, probably about 97% visibility. I've only got a little bit of stripe on the arm of my jacket that I can see. Other than that, we're all good. It's quite smooth. Got a nice comfortable padding in this seat. At this speed, 30 miles an hour, I've got no vibes, got nothing vibing through the handlebars, nothing through the foot pegs at this time. Once when we get up higher in the speeds, we'll see if that changes. That feels pretty good for now. Let's go out more into the country roads and see how it fares there. It's got a great sort of off-road feel to it. It's got a nice, say, raspy vibe. Oh, I like that little overrun fart. Good balance at low speed. Never had to put my feet down. It's really easy to hold up. Take it round this corner at 15 mile an hour in third gear quite happily. Well, that rides really decently. Switch gears are very simple, very generic, pretty basic. Obviously you've got your kill switch, your start button, indicators, horn, lights and flash, and that's it. Brakes pull up quite well. When you pull on the front brake, you feel the suspension dip down. You may feel as though the grips could be a bit thicker, feeling on the inside of a palm there. It's nothing horrendous. Oh, Triumph Herald. Oh, Citroen 2CV Dolly. It's been raining, so we're going to get some wet patches now. Sucker's going to thunder down in a minute. I don't want to get caught in that. Not wearing only jeans. Nice, smooth, easy, simple gear change. Up and down, it goes really well. Let's see if it works without the clutch. Yes. Up and down gear without the clutch. Very simple. Although if you're off-road, clutch control is good. Into sixth quite easily, very smoothly, just roll off the throttle a touch. And again, just roll off the throttle, down a gear, very simple. I'm getting decent deflection from this screen here. I'm not getting buffeted. I know I'm only doing 30 miles an hour, but I'm not getting buffeted about at all. It's quite nice, actually. I thought the seat would be harder and more harsher than this, and I'm pleasantly surprised that it's quite soft and forgiving. The tank feels quite thin, so my legs can tuck in quite nicely, and I've got good sturdy pegs. Pegs are nice and chunky, so I've got good sturd there. I'm going to stand up here and see what it's like standing up on the road. Again, easy manoeuvre. Oh, very simple. Yeah, that's easy. So easy. Feels very planted, very firm on the road. Come back out, and when we come back this way, we'll head down there and do some dirt riding. First of all, we shall carry on and see what it's like on the road. 6th gear, 40 mile an hour is quite decent. A little bit of buffeting from the screen, but nothing major. Again, not at this speed, I'm not getting any vibes. Hopefully we've got the 60 mile an hour roads coming up in a minute, so we can get some better speed. So now it's quite a comfortable ride. So at this stage, blasting around country roads is a doddle. I do like that little rasp, lets you know you're on some kind of off-roader style bike. Dips into a corner, simply, and away we go. So let's see, at 40 miles an hour in 6th gear, 4,000 RPM, Red line's at 10. Bit bumpier, see how it fares. Yeah, very easy, very simple to ride. Certainly doesn't feel like a cheap bike at all. It's really got some presence about it. It's got a nice riding feel about it. Takes everything in its stride quite easily at the moment. A little bit of bounce on the rebound with an anchor on the brakes. Yeah, it pulls up all right. I do love those farts and crackles. They sound brilliant. Obviously, it's not a bike that's designed for mega speeds. We will go down the dual carriageway and see how it fares at 70. I do like these foot pegs. They're nice and wide and sturdy, so you've got a good planting on your foot. Have a try and hold. Okay, let's take this on the dirt track and see how it fares there. On these initial lumps and bumps, takes it all very well, not too bouncy at all. Okay, let's try the more muddier stuff. Taking everything within its stride at the moment. I don't know how deep in it some of these holes are. Not wearing any off-road gear at the moment. Stand up and see what it's like here. Oh yeah, my legs are soaking wet now. Excellent. Oh yeah, this is simple. It's not squirming about in the mud. Not at all. It's taking everything really simply. It's gripping quite nicely on this sandy, muddy, wet stuff. Quite nicely indeed. Yeah, I'm quite liking this. Very easy to ride. I've got nothing negative to say about this at all, really. I can't believe how easy it is. It feels so light and nimble and flickable. Even on the stuff that I thought was going to be slippery, really isn't. Even sitting down, the bumps don't feel too bad. The suspension does a really good job.
Tell you what, great little green lane with this. It's really comfortable. So simple to ride. Effortless. Standing up again. Takes all the bumps really well. Yeah, no problems there whatsoever. Nice. Okay, so let's get it on the dual carriageway and see if it does 70. Does feel a bit wobbly. Let's try it up the hill on the other side. See how these Tim Sung, mostly off-road tyres, take the corners quite nicely actually. Bear in mind I've just been on the mud as well. Yeah, that's pretty good. Alright, let's go. When I change gear, the bike wobbles a little bit. Up to 60 into 6th. Yes, it'll do 70 and a bit more. So I can report at 70 miles an hour, it will do it. Bearing in mind I'm quite a tall slab on this, it does buffet you a little bit, but not bad. Not bad at all, to be honest. I am being blown about a tiny bit, as I say, but nothing major at all. I was quite surprised by that. I didn't think it would even hit 70. Why are you doing 30? So yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised by that. I was expecting it to struggle. I mean, it didn't go much beyond 70, but it does get to 70. Oh, Triumph Dolomite. But so good, this balance at low speeds. So light and easy to hold up. When you change gear, you get a tiny bit of wobble, but it's nothing major at all. Let's be honest, this bike isn't designed to sit at 70 miles an hour all day long. It's not what you buy a 300 rally off-road style 920mm seat height bike for. No, you'd be buying a road bike for that. This is great for bimbling around the roads, country roads, bit of green laning, commuting in and around town quite happily, I would say, as well. It's comfortable enough. Long journeys, this is not the style of bike you would use. However, I will be doing a test later on with a backpack on and taking it out and seeing how it fares as a day out bike or a camping style bike. See if it'll do it. Why not? Because if you do only have one bike, and you are considering going camping and doing a bit of green laning and using it for commuting and going to and from work, going out for a country blast, will this do all of that? So I will report that in a later video in a very short while. Other than that, so far it's done the road thing, it's done the off-road thing, it's done the sitting at 70 miles an hour on a dual carriageway thing. So I'm really surprised. I was not expecting that at all. So then, let's get back to the home studio and talk about the price and its rivals and whether I think it's a worthwhile contender. So I hope you've enjoyed this ride. I certainly have, much to my delight, and I wasn't expecting to. I thought it was going to be a cheap Chinese bike that's okay, it'll do the job if you can't afford anything else. Really? Hello? Wow, what was that about? But it turns out it's actually a very good contender for the likes of the much more expensive Honda CRF. And for the type of bike it is, where you don't want to be doing motorway speeds anyway, it feels perfect. As long as the reliability holds up, longevity wise, which I can't see it being a problem now. I mean, these bikes are coming on so much, and Voge are breaking into the bigger market in terms of 125s all the way up to the 650s, and I'm sure there'll be bigger bikes beyond that also. So for now, let's head back to the studio.
It's got a bit of a sump guard underneath and to the sides, but it is plastic, so I don't know how much that would hold up if it was smacked by a rock. So how much is it? Well, that's the best part. It's only £3,799 plus the on-road costs. Now that is really cheap, and I was not expecting it to be that low. So its rivals, well, you have got the Honda CRF300 Rally, 27 brake horsepower, 19.5 pounds-foot of torque, but it's £6,500. However, the service intervals are more than twice as less than this Voge. Now, maybe the Kawasaki KLX 250 or the Suzuki WR 250 or even the Fantic XEF 250, KTM EXCF 250 or SX, or even the Ryu Ranger 300. However, they're more of a hard off-road bike, so you can't really compare. Plus, they're all up in the £7,000 to £9,000 range, and this is more of a lower budget enduro bike. And that brings me to the end of this episode of Motors for the Masses. Thank you very much for joining me. I want to say a massive thank you to MotoGB for lending me this bike for the past 3 or 4 weeks. I do have another video coming up on this, so please stay tuned for that. In that video, we'll be going 2 up and we'll be loading up with some luggage and taking it on a slightly longer journey than just some light enduro and how it fares as a country commuter and a country blaster. So stay tuned for that one. We'll be putting it through its paces slightly differently than usual, and also I've got other videos coming as well as usual, so please stay tuned for that. Please like, subscribe and share this video, and don't forget to click the notification bell for future videos. And that's it. So until next time, please ride and drive carefully, but have fun. Bye bye.